And I hear that the Fable franchise is coming back. So let's go check out the trailer, shall we?
What do I think about heroes? Well, we've all seen them, haven't we? Swanning about the place with their disproportionately high cheekbones and comically massive weapons.
We just can't have a normal game anymore. No, they can't help themselves. They have to pack in like a turkey at Christmas or Thanksgiving. They've got to pack in as much as their political messaging and ideology and...
Hello everyone, once again from the Tory dystopia of the United Kingdom. And today we are talking about, once again, a male backlash to a video game character they don't find particularly attractive, and to them this is evidence of the woke agenda just ruining female video game characters. And I'm going to save this part for later, but as we've seen in the past, we have like the redesign of Tifa in Final Fantasy, Abby from The Last of Us, and a whole host of other female characters where all these anti-SJWs have gone pretty mad that they're not attractive enough. And their standards are so ridiculous, they were even doing this to the reboot of Lara Croft, when the rebooted Lara Croft is objectively, like, amazingly attractive, but because she wasn't completely objectified, like she was in the older games, they got really mad about this. And they get mad about this Fable reboot because the lead character is not someone they're attracted to. And as we're going to talk about, it seems in gaming, there is space for men to look however the designer wants. You have, like, Trevor from GTA, that's not a good looking guy. Joel from The Last of Us isn't, like, terrible looking, but he's pretty disheveled. You have crazy over the top ones like Marcus Phoenix and Chris Redfield. It seems like gamers don't mind any of that. They're not all complaining that when you play as a character who doesn't look, you know, great or anything, that it's the left ruining gaming. But when it's a woman they don't want to have sex with, apparently it's even misogynistic, someone's claimed, to even design women like this. Of course, there's also a degree of transphobia in this backlash. People wrongly saying one of the trans developers on the game, who's actually a level designer, not a character artist, made this character as a self-insert into the game. But of course, that's what you expect today with the online conservative movement. So we're just going to talk about this backlash today. It is quite funny in terms of people like Ian Miles Chong getting completely owned for complaining about this stuff, but also I just want to talk about, you know, women's depiction in video games and how some male gamers just have incredibly unrealistic expectations, and also just prove the point of a lot of female developers who say, like, you just want these characters for the male gaze, which they often reject, but it's pretty clear that's how they want to be catered to. And it also begs the question for a lot of these people, how many women do they actually know in real life? Because I can't imagine anyone who actually has decent, healthy relationships with multiple women in real life thinking this way about the women we're going to talk about in the video, including this new Fable character. But anyway, like the video, and in the comments let me know what is the weirdest backlash or the worst one. I'd probably say Abby from The Last of Us, only because she is like an attractive character who happens to have muscle, but let me know. Also, follow me on social media at the Kavernacle on Twitter, but also on Instagram. Also, consider becoming a patron and get access to exclusive content, the private patrons Discord server, and my Nintendo Switch friend code. Trying to build up as many $1 to $3 patrons as possible, so if you care about supporting me, go check that out, and also check out the subreddit and my second channel down in the description. So let's just dive straight into this one. I'm going to play you some like little clips from the trailer. So basically, Fable was like an old Xbox franchise which was relatively popular back in the day, originally famous for being like wildly overhyped by its main developer, but then it came to be quite a well-liked series. Like, the only one I've really played is Fable 2, and I liked Fable 2 back in the day. I liked the world, I liked the humor as I remember it. I like the Britishness of it, like the British humor. It's quite funny. And also, everyone who plays Fable knows, although there are some serious themes in it and some serious story threads, the whole kind of vibe is quite like jokey as well. You can't talk about Fable's identity without talking about the humor. And also, traditionally, Fable has a degree of character customization. Now, I don't know if that'll be the case in this game. It seems maybe not, but it could. What they're doing, these anti-SJWs, they're taking one screenshot of the new character and basically saying like, oh, how ugly this person is, you know, woke left, ruining video games. But if you like watch the whole trailer, you're not really getting the vibe this person is insanely ugly. Like, they're just pretty like normal looking is the best way to describe it. I wouldn't say they're conventionally attractive or anything like that, but at the same time, outside of that screenshot, I'm not really seeing anything noteworthy. And as someone who's pretty sensitive to how conservatives will react to certain things, I watched the Xbox showcase live and it never got flagged in my mind they would be mad about this character. Like, I didn't even see that character and think, oh my god, like, they're gonna be so outraged. And if this person was a man, they would not have said anything. The man who looked very similar, you know they would say absolutely nothing. So now let's get into some of the stupid, crazy backlash. So the Gamer reporting, Fable trailer spammed with dislikes over Hero's appearance. Some guys watching the trailer yesterday didn't find it sexy enough. That's right, the Fable reboot is dead on arrival, all because the stand-in for the player character briefly shown in the trailer isn't hot enough. Apparently that really is enough to write the game off for so many, and enough to spam the trailer with dislikes. At the time of writing, the Fable trailer is one of the most disliked videos from the Xbox Games Showcase. One upload even has 10,000 dislikes against 8,000 likes. Judging by the chatter on both YouTube and Twitter, it seems very much that this is a response to the hero's appearance, as comments about everything else are actually pretty positive. As a side note, if these people reckon that Fable was known for its hot character models in the 2000s, I really want to know what versions of the game they are playing. So you're getting the gist of it, basically because woman isn't extremely objectified and sexy, game bad. And also, like I said, traditionally in Fable, you can customize your character. So I'd assume maybe you could do that again, but also we just don't know. So there's no confirmation you play as this character. It could just be a stand-in. There wasn't really actually any gameplay there. It looks more like early in development than other games. So yeah, we don't know. So they're already getting outraged. Now, just to show you one video, I've never really covered this guy before, but I'm aware of him because he's like part of the Geeks and Gamers like crowd. Heel versus babyface. And it seems this guy is from the UK, so I apologize to everyone for this cultural export. Let's get into this video, just talk about, you know, a bit of what he's saying and then talk about further backlash.
When I initially saw this character model, I thought something's wrong here. It doesn't make a lick of sense. And then I put it down to possibly one of two things. The first one being just really bad design. They were just terrible at character model design, and this is what they came up with. And I thought, nah, I don't believe in that level of incompetence. So I thought, it has to be the second one, which was purposely create a female protagonist that is as ugly as sin because male gaze. We can't have them having anything attractive to look at. No, we're going to make the female character hug ugly, and so they have to play with her because we are living in the most pathetic timeline possible. We just can't have a normal game anymore. No, they can't help themselves. They have to pack in like a turkey at Christmas or Thanksgiving. They got to pack in as much as their political messaging and ideology and into every single solitary game as possible. And then when it's rejected, oh, you bigots, you racists, you homophobes, oh, piss off. You bring it on yourself, always. People just want a normal game to play, a normal film to watch, a normal TV show to sit down at the evening with a meal or some snacks. But you just can't help yourself. Everything, every single solitary thing to you has got to be a political message or some sort of ideological token. You're broken people.
So generally, I don't like to body shame people or talk about people's looks. But when people like this and Miles Chong are going after supposedly really ugly characters, ugly people, I'm just glass houses. If we're talking about looks here, that video game character is better looking than you. So I wouldn't be talking about how ugly these people are, how ugly these women are in video games. Guy's not doing himself any favors. It's always just funny because to me, when people like this and Miles Chong go after supposedly really ugly women or really ugly video game characters in this instance, just shows me they're really insecure in their own looks, because why are you even thinking about that? Is that all you feel like, you know, game characters in your media should be? Just extremely objectified and attractive. I don't know if they're trying to compensate for something they don't get in their own lives to play out in this fantasy game, but also just him going on a rant about like all this like ideological, political stuff based on one character they don't find attractive. It must represent, I don't know, communism or something like that. Like, these people are so embarrassing. And also, like, I'm embarrassed watching this because if he is doing this sincerely, like he's actually really mad about this, that's embarrassing. If he's hyping himself up before he records as a part of a grift to get really mad about this, it's also just as embarrassing. Like, I will never stop thinking about how pathetic these people are, even though he talks about, like, this being pathetic, this game, because it has a supposedly ugly woman as the main character, which they don't even know is the main character yet, because it's a Fable game. Traditionally, you get to choose how your character looks, and as ugly as they think she is, a woman like that is still out of their league. Again, we don't really like talking about people's looks when we talk about arguments, but I'll make an exception for right-wingers who go around calling women ugly all the time. So now let's talk about some more of the reaction. So I saw this insane long post on Reddit, posted to the Xbox subreddit. So I don't understand why this person felt the need to do this, but Katie Elizabeth, the user's called, and they're saying they're a woman on their profile. Not that there's any evidence, but apart from them saying it. And they're writing it like Xbox going to read this, but let me read you some of it. Dear Xbox Playground Games, I hope this finds you well. I recently watched the trailer for the upcoming Fable game and wanted to provide some feedback regarding the character design featured in the video. As a female gamer, of course, who enjoys Western RPGs, I believe my perspective might be valuable. Firstly, I was a bit confused about the intended target audience for the game based on the portrayal of the female character in the trailer. It would be helpful to understand who you are primarily marketing the game to and how this particular character design aligns with the target audience. While I appreciate the importance of diversity and representation in gaming, I would like to share my concerns about the character model in question. The character's appearance struck me as somewhat unusual, deviating from the average body type or features commonly associated with women. I understand that artistic choices are subjective, but if the intention is to appeal to a wide range of female gamers, it might be worth considering a design that better aligns with the general expectations of the target market. As a female gamer, I feel it's essential for game developers to create characters that are relatable and realistic within the context of the game world. While I understand the desire to make statements or generate discussion, it's important not to alienate the core audience or resort to political stunts solely for the sake of publicity. What's the political stunt here? I sincerely hope you take these thoughts into consideration. As a passionate fan of Western RPGs, I want to see the Fable game succeed and resonate with a wide range of players, including women like myself. Best regards, Katie. In the comments, let me know, did a woman write that? I highly doubt a woman wrote that. Talking about how this character design alienates women from playing Fable. So, having a totally ordinary looking woman who is like some sort of peasant in like a medieval fantasy setting and isn't like conventionally attractive or objectified, that's like a massive political statement that will alienate all women who want to play this. And that's what most women think, by the way. I don't think a woman wrote that, to be honest. Like, of course, there are some like pick-me anti-SJW women who do say stuff like this all the time. So maybe this is a woman, but at the same time, I think even most rational women who don't just suffer from complete conservative brain rot can see how, yes, having a character that just looks like a normal person is fine. And also, game studios always do this with male characters. Like I said, Trevor from GTA is literally so ugly. And people love playing as Trevor. I prefer playing as Trevor to other people. I wasn't thinking that all the time, like, oh, I wish Trevor like looked like Chris Redfield in Resident Evil 5. I'm so distracted. It's a political stunt. It's trying to show men as all weak beta simps because they look like some guy who cooks meth in his trailer out in like the desert. I felt very alienated as a man from GTA 5 because I didn't identify with the unconventional look of Trevor, who I spent most of the game playing as. See how ridiculous that logic is? Has any man ever felt that, playing like some ugly dude in a video game, but apparently playing as like a really normal looking person in another video game would be alienating, political agenda, pathetic. That's why conservative brain rot is so ridiculous, because like I'm saying that like no one could believe it, but some of these people do believe it, and they're actually very mad about it. Like, can you imagine watching that trailer and even noticing that there's something wrong with it or pathetic about it. If you see women solely as an object to satisfy you sexually or visually or whatever, then yeah, maybe you would think that. If you're just like a pretty normal person, you wouldn't even notice that. Let's get into more of the backlash on social media, more incel types. Colonel Otaku Gatekeeper, Japanese nationalist tweets, game developers in the West truly do go out of their way to make the most ugly and visually unappealing character designs. I don't even want to look at her, let alone play as her. And yeah, this is the picture that's been circulating. Fixed Fable, made her like more conventionally attractive, wearing like makeup and having long hair. Someone pointed out the hypocrisy of like fixing The Last of Us, getting rid of all Joel's blemishes, scars, all the wear and tear on his face, giving him a better haircut and a bigger, fuller beard. Again, it just shows you how ridiculous the hypocrisy is here. But here is the funnest part of the video. So Ian Miles Chong, well-known far-right troll, and just like a massive must simp, he got destroyed on Twitter for trying to talk about this. Because like I said, if you're not conventionally attractive yourself as a man, I wouldn't be going after women for being ugly, if I'm honest. So this is the main character of the new Fable game from Microsoft, continuing the trend of weirdly unattractive female main characters in video games because beauty is objectifying. This is what happens when you consult with woke intersectional feminists. Replying, I couldn't reproduce this on Midjourney even if I tried. You have to go out of your way to make female characters look this awful. Someone saying, I can, and with Photoshop too, just putting his face on it. And I think also like proving my point, like, yeah, that character now looks worse. Now Ian Miles Chong's face on it. I think these people have just been playing like too much of The Witcher or designing characters in Skyrim to look a certain way. Main cast of The Witcher, the women in it, are all good looking and they often wear makeup as well. But think of like the Witcher universe and think of the games. Think of like 90% of like female peasants you interact with in the game. Are they all like stunningly pretty wearing makeup? A lot of them just look very, very normal, or they're like pretty weathered and stuff. It's really not a stretch that in a medieval type setting, like a woman doesn't need to be like crazy objectified. More replies from him. Woke leftists in the comments accuse me of being fragile for criticizing the decline of aesthetics in art or for objectifying women. These same people celebrate the likes of Lizzo and Cardi B for flaunting their sexuality and objectifying the female figure. They also want me silenced for expressing my opinion by abusing the report function. I love these free speech Elon Musk simps in that they think they should be able to say whatever they want without restriction, but when they get pushback from people who say their take is bad, just go and start crying about it. But people absolutely destroying him in the comments, just posting pictures of him, posting old YouTube videos of him. And then this is probably the most funny one. So Syra, who's like a Twitch streamer, I think, bro, you look like this. Worry about yourself. And he quote tweets a picture of her like not wearing a full face of makeup saying, I know you didn't just make fun of my looks when you look like this without 5 pounds of makeup caked onto your face. I think this tweet perfectly encapsulates like these incel type ugly looking men and their views about women and also their standards, right? So he posts a picture of her without wearing loads of makeup. Objectively, this person is just like good looking without makeup or not, and he's posting a picture of her looking nice and saying, I know you didn't just make fun of my looks when you look like this without makeup. Again, it just shows their standards are crazy. No wonder they think even the new Lara Croft isn't sexy enough. And this guy himself and how he looks is trying to post this picture like it's a known about someone being like ugly or something. Then people just destroying him even more, but some of his friends coming to his rescue. Ignore the petty haters, man. Best investment regardless of follow count. He replies, it's free engagement. I'll never get their followers anyway, but the folks they annoy enough on their own will probably be introduced to my content. Yeah, your content of saying that objectively good-looking women are actually ugly and video game characters who look normal are actually really ugly and it's part of the like woke left's agenda. But then it turns out that he might have also been liking her photos like last week. But yeah, that is the tragedy of Ian Miles Chong. Like I said, I don't generally like talking about people's looks, but if you're not the best looking person and you go around saying everyone is ugly in a really misogynistic way, then yes, don't be surprised that if you're criticizing people based on looks, people are going to do the same back to you. Just a few more points responding to this I thought were good. So just saying, meanwhile, main characters in games, and you have Trevor, Marcus Phoenix, Big Boss, someone else saying, it's funny how we only ever see men complain about characters looking unattractive when they're women. When men are in their natural state, nobody cares. When women are in their natural state, it's taken personally by men desperate to get off to every piece of media they consume. We've had hot main female protagonists in games since forever. Don't worry, you're not starved, and you still do have these today. And then someone also pointed out what I was saying. She looks fine and fierce in the trailer and like a perfectly normal young woman. Do internet dude bros even know how a person not photoshopped and filtered looks like? And yeah, in this picture, would you even notice anything about this person being supposedly ugly? No, of course you wouldn't. So there's a couple different factors that really combine to make this backlash. Like traditionally, video games have been made by straight men. Been a lot of women leads in games, pretty much exclusively designed by men. So Lara Croft in the 1990s, right? That is obviously designed by a man as some sort of like sexual gratification. They want this like basically sexualized supermodel to be the main character in their game. Not saying Lara Croft has always been like a terrible character or something, but at the same time, in the original game, she wasn't really much more than a pair of pointy pixelated boobs. Now, of course, male designers and writers have written good female characters as well, and they've even done it without having like a massive input from like women as well. That probably comes from men who do probably have a healthy relationship with women in that they don't feel the need to completely objectify them all the time. And recently, like in gaming, you have a lot of good female characters. Probably two of the best are Abby and Ellie from The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2. And of course, they're also characters that people hate for their looks because, in my mind, both are like attractive in their own ways. They're just not like conventionally attractive. Like Ellie is very, very skinny. She doesn't have like very like conventionally sexually appealing features. And Abby is, of course, extremely muscular. So they absolutely freaked out about that as well, crying about it being unrealistic, when they never cry about that when it comes to any male characters, including like Chris Redfield or Marcus Phoenix, or even like in more realistic games where player characters are extremely jacked in circumstances that wouldn't really lend themselves to it. But Last of Us even went out of its way to show you how this might even be possible. So that is one of the more ridiculous ones. But like I said, Lara Croft, Tifa, absolutely freaking out that the female characters they like will no longer be as objectified. Even in some cases still being objectified. Like Tifa's design is still like a pretty objectifying design of a female character. Just because it wasn't as bad as the 1990s, they're still freaking out because these people cannot be happy. And I think a lot of them just don't want any introspection because when they see something change, they think, well, is there something wrong with me for liking this stuff? And of course, there isn't. If you're a man, often you're going to find stuff that is conventionally sexually attractive. But if you like those characters for being characters you like, you're not really going to care about their like design on the surface because you still like those characters. And also as men, I just think we're used to having like women in games designed to just appeal to us. But yeah, overall, it's just a problem I don't think it's going to go away in that men, like I said, have been used to being catered to so long in the gaming industry, more than others, that now there's a bit of a change in it where you're getting more women writers writing women or designing women, but they're not used to these characters not being like crazily sexualized. So they think it's some sort of like leftist plot to, I don't know, defeminize women or something. When in reality, it's just showing you that more women are getting involved, they have more input. So crazily objectifying every female lead character for no reason and often fundamentally undermines the actual character by making them look ridiculous is probably like a bad thing for your narrative. So maybe don't do it. But at the same time, there are still plenty of games which do that. And I'm perfectly okay with both those things. Like if women want to design a character like Bayonetta or whatever, I have no problem with that. But the problem being often is characters like Bayonetta and others born from straight men like writing and creating these characters in the first place, and it just leads to unhealthy stereotypes and leads to unhealthy views on women, which like Ian Miles Chong and that British anti-SJW YouTuber are proof of. Look how they react to this stuff. Is that healthy? Are these guys with a healthy view of women? Of course not. Are these guys with a healthy view of femininity? Of course it's not. Do they view women as sexual objects? Yes, of course. So they're literally proof of the argument that more women should be involved. And also when you get more women involved in these industries to write these characters and design them, they probably are going to be less sexualized in the same way that a lot of male characters are less sexualized and even ugly, like Trevor from GTA. But anyway, that's it for the video. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching.